What's cooler than cool? Job opportunities, obviously. All right, maybe that wasn't my best, but stick with me. According to Penguin Air and Heating, the air conditioning business is booming as of recently.
Usually we get a slow spell in the winter times, but this February tend to be very hot.
But there is somewhat of a shortage of people willing to fill the positions.
The amount of kids getting out of high school wanting to go into a trade for, say, like air conditioning is very slim.
Maybe it's in part due to the added pressure to getting a higher education and a degree, but it could also have something to do with the difficulty of the job.
Working outside, checking pressures on units, cleaning units, you're always going to be in the heat.
But it sure isn't a bad alternative to sitting at a desk all day. Plus, it's something you can always use. Who knows, maybe working in air conditioning could be your next career move. It has been 3 years since the ZombiCon shooting happened in downtown Fort Myers, and after the incident, people felt a little bit afraid to come downtown. So Katie set out to get a read on the community to see whether or not they feel safe now, 3 years later.
You don't feel unsafe if you leave at night or anything like that?
Are you kidding now? One of the reasons that I came down here was because I knew there were a lot of cameras here, so we would be a little safer.
One of the changes implemented by the city of Fort Myers after the shooting were security cameras. But not everyone here is a big fan of them.
I didn't think that it was necessarily the wisest way to use our tax dollars for security cameras downtown.
So the general consensus on safety?
We feel really, really safe.
I never feel unsafe here.
Do you live or work in downtown Fort Myers? If so, let us know how you feel. So baseball is a fun, entertaining escape for everyone who attends, but especially for the disabled. That's why the Game Day Bunch was created.
Just treating them to a day of joy, a day at the ballpark. Give them an opportunity to sort of forget about what they can't do and focus on what they can do.
Catherine's own life experience contributed to her founding this group.
My parents were from Connecticut, and they retired down here in Fort Myers, and the year they retired, unfortunately, due to some medical issues, my mom lost her right leg first and then her left.
Her mother, a double amputee, lost her ability to lead a normal life and felt as though it was over. And after getting season tickets to Major League Baseball games, she decided to go ahead and give it a try.
They were season ticket holders, and when those season tickets showed up, my mom was dressed and ready to go to the game. And she went, she was all bundled up in blankets because she was very self-conscious and didn't want people to see her. She felt disfigured and maimed and so on. 2 or 3 games later, she didn't need the blanket anymore. She was cheering.
After Catherine's parents passed, she found a way to share her mother's experience with others.
I wanted to do something for our community, and I felt like if going to a ball game could be life-changing for my mom, it could be life-changing for hundreds of disabled people.
If you're a resident or a frequent visitor of Southwest Florida, chances are you've probably heard of red tide. Basically, what red tide is it takes all the oxygen out of the Gulf that the fish need to survive and basically suffocates them, causing them to wash ashore. So to get a little bit more scoop, we headed to some of the local beaches, and Olivia, who was recording, counted a total of 15 dead fish on the beach. 15! The beaches affected by this week's red tide span all the way from Naples to Fort Myers Beach. If you're planning a trip to the beach this week and the red tide has not yet scared you away, something to keep in mind is that Florida Fish and Wildlife did warn that the red tide can cause respiratory infection. So before you pack your towels and beach chairs, make sure to visit MyFWC to check the status of the red tide near you. Thanks for tuning into this week's newsletter. We'll see you next week.